Good evening and welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm so glad you're here today. I am Barbara H. Smith, your celebrity trainer, speaker, trainer. And I have the pleasure of having someone really special on the show tonight. I want you to sit back, relax, and hear what he has to say. Before I go into that, I just want to let you know that I have a very special presentation coming on after the show. You got to wait to the end before I give you the information, but it is so exciting what we're going to be presenting and working on. I'll tell you more about that in a few minutes. But first, I am so excited, so elated, so tremendously blessed to have the New Jersey native, Charles S. Gates, with me today. He's an entrepreneur, a presentation coach, trainer, speaker, MC, transformational trainer, that is, and he takes his audiences from the mundane to the magnificent using his top hat leadership philosophy. His high energy presentations and workshops are fun, in your face, and memorable. Charles has been featured in the New Journal and Guide, Virginia's oldest African-American newspaper, the Suffolk News Herald, Wavy TV 10 in Norfolk, WODU's Let's Face It Radio with Will Strayhorn, and WNSB's Nonprofit Exchange radio show with C. Richard Gilcrease. He has also appeared on The Common Good Show with Juanita Farrow, WHRO's Another View, and the now defunct Cheryl Wilkerson Show. Now, Charles also has his hands in a lot of things. He serves on multiple boards in the community, nonprofits, and is the past district director, regional advisor for Toastmasters International. He lives in George Washington Carver's mantra, which is no individual has a right to come into the world and go out of it without leaving behind distinct, legitimate reasons for passing through it. He's married to the lovely Leilana, has 3 children, Tania, Tiffany, and Chris, and has a faithful German Shepherd called Gunner. Help me welcome to the show, Charles S. Gates.
Charles Gates here, host of Local Legislator Live at 11, where we air most Wednesday mornings at 11 a.m. on both Facebook Live and YouTube Live. We have 2 purposes at Local Legislator Live at 11. This is a new product that we're putting out, and I want to introduce it to you today. 1 is to help you become a more concise messenger. What does that mean? That means stop rambling and being able to share your message and share that message with 12 words or less. Number 2, be a better deliverer of that message. Deliver with power, deliver with energy, instead of sending people to sleep. If that is you, come see us, reach out to me at letstalk1031@gmail.com. We want to see you. Again, that email is letstalk1031@gmail.com. We've got the answer for you because we want to make you the best you can be. Come see us. Take care.
Charles, thanks for being here, my brother. So glad to see you. We haven't seen each other in a minute. So, tell me what's going in the world of Charles Gates.
Well, you know what's going on right now, Barbara. To be honest with you, I'm in the process, me and my family, of moving my family, my mother, father, from New Jersey down to Virginia. I did not know it was going to be so difficult a journey, but you know what? It is what it is, and we're handling it.
That's right. We need to handle these things as they come up, right? So, on your show, Local Legislative Live, talk to me some about how did that start, how you got involved, and what is it all about?
Okay, let me tell you where we got started. I was given a presentation years ago, and the founder of the company saw me giving a presentation. I happened to be talking about how opportunities present themselves to us as individuals every single day. But for whatever reason, we come up with excuses why, well, that's not for me. My name's not the right thing. I'm not the right color. I don't live in the right neighborhood. And he was intrigued by that and approached me afterwards and said, Charles, I've got a proposal for you. I'd like to buy you some dinner and talk about it. It turns out that he and I are on the same page from a political standpoint, not from the federal, not from the state, but from the local political perspective. Because if you think about it, most people in our municipalities, if you were to ask them, what is the difference between the commissioner of the revenue and the treasurer? Most people would not be able to tell you, even though we vote these people into office. So why don't we pay more attention to what happens at the local level of government? Because look, Barbara, if you come home from a hard day's work and you have a sinkhole in front of your house the size of a bus, you're not calling President Biden. You're not calling the congressman. You're calling, look, local official, Mr. Mayor, fix this doggone hole. So that's how that got started. He said that, you know what, let's put more emphasis on the local election process and let's know who these people are. And more importantly, what do they stand for? That's how that process got started. Local Legislator Live at 11 is a show that we put on air so that everyone has the same platform. Speaking of opportunities, because if you look at it, if you're an incumbent, you've been in office for 10, 15 years, you've got name recognition. People know who you are. Whether you've done anything or not is irrelevant in some people's minds. But there are so many people out there who are running for the right reasons, but yet they don't have that name recognition. And therefore, in many cases, they lose in a landslide because they don't have the money to advertise. They don't have the money to market. So we give them a fair platform. And it's also for incumbents as well as business leaders, nonprofit head, and community leaders, because we want to know what's happening in your world and how it all comes back to local politics. And that's why we do our show. And it's just like you, it's live. And we tell them, look, if you come up and say Oz, and you know what I'm saying, it's going to be there. We're not editing it out because we want the people to hear from you and not the robotic scripted version of you. So that's my long-winded answer of how that came to be.
That's all good. So tell me more about the legislative process and why it's important for us as people, whatever community we're from, to vote at the local level. Everybody runs out to the general election for president, vice president, and those. But why is it so very important for us to vote at the local level?
Well, if you look, I'm going to use this as an example. Think of the State of the Union address that the president gives every year. And when that camera combs out and scans the room, most of those people in that room look the same. They're white-haired individuals. They've been around forever and a day because there's no term limits. But think about it. Think how most of those people, and I'll use that word purposely, most as opposed to many, most of them started at the local level of government. They started in school boards. They started as aldermen. They started as city council people. They started at the local level, and it got good to them for whatever reason. They thought they'd make an impact, or perhaps they weren't in it for the right reasons, but they just went up the ladder. There is no reason we as citizens should not be involved with that political process. You don't have to have a PhD from Harvard to make a difference. You just have to have the will, the tenacity, and the articulation skills to influence the crowd for them to get behind you. Because why do we get behind people? Because of their whys. And that's why it's so important that we put our emphasis on the local level. But again, you come home from a hard day's work, you're not calling the White House to fix that hole. You're calling the local officials. And if those people don't have the integrity and the charisma to get things done, they need to go. They need to be out of office, and the right people need to be in it. And our platform gives those people with the right reasons a platform to say, hey, this is me, this is who I am, and this is what I'm going to do for you.
That's great. That's great information. So how do you vet who's coming to your show?
Call me. It's twofold. If you are, let's look at it from a political standpoint first and foremost. We give the same opportunity to both incumbents and candidates. Anyone who is officially on the ballot from the Virginia Board of Elections, if they're not on the ballot, they just come and say, hey, I'm running for governor, but if you're not certified to be on that ballot come November or May, whatever the cycle is, we don't give you the platform. But if you are a registered, certified contender for whatever position it is, we will give you a platform. That's the political side. We also want to bring it to business owners. We're not looking for the Chick-fil-A founders out there. We're looking for mom and pop businesses out there who may be struggling because people don't know who they are. They don't have a big advertising marketing budget, but they want to get their names out there. We want to give you a free opportunity to come on our show to say, listen, this is who I am. This is what we do, and this is what we have to offer for you, as well as nonprofits. We're not looking for the Salvation Armies. We're not looking for the American Red Cross. We're looking for Joe's Kitchen on the corner of Mulberry and Main Street to say, listen, this is the opportunity we have for you because you live in our neighborhoods and you may not even know who we are. So we want to give them a platform to say, look, if you're a nonprofit, we want to know who you are. And we only ask them 9 questions. 9 questions. That's it. Same 9 questions for anyone, for the most part, who comes on the show. And as you know, based on their answers, it may tentacle into something else. But 9 questions, and that's it. Especially from a political standpoint, we ask them 9 questions. The first are very basic. What is your name, party affiliation? But the ninth question is most important, which is, if elected, what are your 4 top goals? Why do we ask that? Because it's aired. It's live. And it's going to be recorded in the cyberspace forever. So if you say that, oh, I want to run on gun control, but yet you get in office and 2 years have gone by, the words gun has not come out of your mouth, you need to go. So we want to hold them accountable through this space. And that includes the business owners and the nonprofits.
And I am so grateful to hear you say that. We want to be able to support each other in the community service as giving people a platform to air whatever it is they do to help the community. So I'm glad to hear you say that. Talk to me some now about where we met at the National Speakers Association. What did that organization do for you, help you with your career?
Well, I will tell you, Barbara, I am still a candidate. What do they call it? A candidate corner? I'm not an official member of the NSA yet. And for those people who don't know, the National Speakers Association, but I love presenting. Primarily, I like coaching people on messaging and delivery because we find so many people just don't do that well. And I had someone ask me yesterday, well, you're a natural talker. That doesn't have anything to do with being on stage or even being in this Brady Bunch box and influencing people. You have to be able to come across as influential and authentic, because if you come across as a robotic, scripted individual, they are not going to believe in you. And I do remember that time we met at the National Speakers Association, because I go to a lot of those meetings too, because it is such a wonderful organization as an opposed to Toastmasters. Toastmasters teaches you the fundamentals of public speaking. NSA teaches you the business side of public speaking and everything associated with it. So I love the organization.
Yeah, we need to say that again. What does Toastmasters do again? Toastmasters teaches you the fundamentals.
Mm-hmm.
And then you take that and add to that National Speakers Association, which teaches you the business side of how to make money as a speaker.
Right.
So you're doing transformational coaching and you use a top hat philosophy. What does that mean?
Well, you know what, Barbara, if I was on a stage, I would be wearing my top hat.
I'm so disappointed that you didn't wear your top hat today.
Well, you know what I found? When I get in here and say I'm so animated, when I wear the hat in the screen, I'd have to be down here for you to do it, because when I get excited, I start talking and the hat is usually cut off from the top of the screen. So it's rather awkward. But the top hat is simply an acronym, a leadership acronym, because I like leadership, and I will put this out there 1,000 times. I am a firm believer that most leaders are not leaders. They're simply title holders, because a leader should be bringing people up behind her or him. And more importantly, leaders make a difference, and they're not selling wolf tickets. There's so many people out there that are just talking, just on and on and on, where there's no substance behind it. But the top hat is very simple. It is, again, like Toastmasters, the fundamentals of leadership, which is T stands for transparent. If you are a leader and you are not transparent, to me, you are guided and you're not as effective as you could be. The O stands for open-minded. You must, and I use that word purposely as opposed to many. You must be a open-minded person. So whereas when your people come to you with an idea, you have to be able to at least listen to them, to their concerns, because who knows, it may make a difference for the bottom line. TOP. The P. Let me get a top hat. Somebody have to spell this word back. TOP. The P stands for positive. You've got to be positive. We all know that we have bad days. Sometimes we leave the house, we're grumpy, we're mad at the world, we got that flat tire, we almost hit a dog on the way to work. But when we show up, we have to be positive. We don't want to carry our troubles on our shoulders. So come to work with a positive attitude. The H in hat stands for humble. There's nothing worse than a big mouth person that thinks that they are the king of the world or the queen of the world, and they're not, because you need other people to make you the best you can be. And the A stands for attitude. If your attitude is not right, you've got a problem. Many things can be changed, but if your attitude sucks, it's going to reflect in everything that you do. And then the last P in top hat, the last T in top hat is to be transformational, because if you are a leader, we want you to transform your team to be, again, and I use this phrase over and over, the best that they can possibly be, and also to encourage them to do things on their own. You're supposed to be there as a leader and a guide, and to help them eventually get to the point where they are self-sufficient. So that's basically where top hat is. And I will tell you, Barbara, I change those words up depending on who the audience is, but they're always pretty much the same thing. But that's top hats, Leadership Fundamental 101. And if you miss any one of those particular characteristics, in my opinion, you are not as effective as a leader as you think you are.
While you're there, I want to ask you, how did you come up with this quote by Charlie Brown? What do you mean by there are too many Charlie Brown adults in the world?
Well, I'll tell you, Barbara, but anyone, well, I wouldn't say anyone, but many of those who have seen me speak places, I will typically revert to that particular saying. And why is that? Think about Charlie Brown. Okay, we all understand Charlie Brown. We understand Linus. We understand Lucy and the crew. But when the adults talk, do you understand what they're saying? Do you understand? Wah, 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 wah. But think about it from a business standpoint. Think about it from a political standpoint, and even think about it from a communication standpoint. So many of us are going through wah, wah, wah in our conversations. In other words, there's no message. There's no substance, especially meetings. Think about meetings in corporate America. The meeting is scheduled for 30 minutes, so we must sit down for 30 minutes and talk about something. Why not condense that 30 minutes into 5? Because that's all it takes is 5 minutes to get your message across so that people can get back to doggone work. They don't need to sit there for another 25 minutes listening to you, because when they leave, typically all they heard was wah, 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 and you had no message and no substance anyway. So let us be quiet, send us a memo, send us an email, and let us continue to get to work and stop the Charlie Brown nonsense.
Well, what's even more crazy than that is not having an agenda. That's one of the things.
Oh my goodness! That's like the cardinal sin. That's winging it.
Just coming into a meeting and just want to just talk, just to be talking. People have work to do. What are you talking about? And so, as a facilitator, which I know you are as well, right? As a facilitator, you have to have a plan for what's going to happen in the meeting. And then, have you ever been in a meeting? I know you have, but have you ever been in a meeting where it's not on the agenda and then they go off onto a rabbit hole? How do you bring them back?
Well, I happen to be a bit more outspoken than the average Joe or Jane, if you will. When I find that, and when I'm sitting in the meetings, is just to simply gently remind them, well, Barbara, what about that point so and so and so and so. So they can consciously say, oh, okay, I don't need to talk about this. I need to stay on point. Not to embarrass them, but to simply remind them that this is not why we're here. This is not what we're here to talk about, because we know those people some people are long-winded. They can go on and on and on and on. And I think it's behooving of us to let them know that when we do feel as though they're headed down that rabbit hole, we've got to remind them gently. And some people need it a little more forcefully than others.
Let me ask you this question. You say that you're a fitness enthusiast, an exercise enthusiast, but you haven't been to the gym. What is that about? Haven't
been to the gym in over 30 years, but excuse me, I'm not a fan of gyms. This is nothing against those people who go to gyms. Whatever floats your boat, go for it. For me, I find that number one, I feel as though I don't want to use the phrase too busy, because we all have the same 24 hours as anyone else. But I know I am not going to go consistently to a gym. That's just not my thing. I'm an outdoors kind of person. I like to do things routinely. I know what I need to do. I don't like the distraction of other people waiting for machines and people wanting to talk to me about nonsense. That's not my thing. I like to just go, hit it. And I'm not a big fan of single body part movements, like working the biceps. I like full body workouts that typically you can get in 10 or 15 minutes a pop.
And you can work out for less than 30 minutes if you're doing the right exercises and get the same bang for your buck. Is that right?
I'm a firm believer. And this is why I like HIIT exercises, HIIT, high intensity training. So you do a lot of things at pretty much at one time, very little, if any, rest. Just jump from one to the other, do some push-ups, jump rope, finish, do about 100 reps, and then do something else, and do 100 reps, do something else. If you do it right, you will be exhausted, but your body will reap the benefits, both physically and being able to see the results of that.
That is so true. And so let's switch gears for a second and let's talk some about coaches and mentors. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about your coaching practice and why it's important for people to have coaches and or mentors.
I want to ask you a second question first. Why we need it? Because very simply, we don't know what we don't know. Think about the average CEO. Think about the average CEO or some of these business leaders. I would look at business leaders and even put politicians, or not pick anyone. Think of it. Who's been talking for a while. They've been the head of the department. They've been the head of a company or whatever their position is. And they speak and they speak and they speak. They don't know how effective they are. I mean, they really don't. Employees typically are not going to come to the CEO and say, you know what, Mr. So-and-so, you suck. They're not going to say that. But the reality is they need to know. They need to know, because again, we don't know what we don't know. So I think it's important for everyone to have at least a mentor, someone's going to hold you accountable to what you said and what you do. And then the coach is there to guide you. A coach is not a cheerleader. They're there to give you, to help you, make you, get you to where you need to be. My coaching stems from mostly aspiring politicians, people who want to, not just politicians, but people who want to serve in servant leadership, whether it's in the community, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's in the political circles, to help them get their messaging and their delivery. I'm not a speech writer. That's not what I do. I will look at your speech. If you wrote it, I will help you to define it, but I like to see you present it and then break it down to its smallest atom and build it up. Because if you work with me, just like working with you, Barbara, you got to have thick skin, because I'm gonna beat you up, but I'm gonna make you feel good about it.
Well, beating somebody up is a different thing than pushing them to get to the next level, right? So we're gonna say we push them.
Right. Okay.
We prompt them to get to to the next level. Tell me some about the coaches that you've had or still have that have helped you get to the next level.
Well, you know what? I compare myself almost to a Darren Hardy in some instances, the Success Magazine, Darren Hardy. And a lot of my coaches and mentors have come virtually and from books. Now, I do have coaches physically in my life right now. I have an accountability partner who we have phone calls every week at the same time. It's a 30-minute phone call that we have. And if I don't do what I said I would do, it's a very awkward conversation. But from a book standpoint, especially in 2021, in this day and age, this can be your mentor. This can be, to a certain degree, your coach, someone to help you, because the information, as opposed to before the information age, going to libraries, even though it was there, it was difficult to obtain. Now, information is at the tip of your finger. I am a big fan of books, and I read typically a book a month. That is my goal. I want to read at least one book per month to get me, and I'm not talking about the adventures of Tarzan. I'm talking about self-development type things that are going to help me. Again, we don't know what we don't know. And every time I read something, because I carry a highlighter with me wherever I go to make sure, oh, that was an interesting concept. How can I put that into practice? And this is what coaches and mentors can do for you, is to identify those things that we may overlook or we may not even think of. I mean, think about it from a speaker standpoint. There are speakers out there who, especially, I'm going to use a gentleman with their hands in their pockets, jingling change. Most of the time, we don't know we're doing that until someone tells us in the moment. Ladies, and this is what I found with a lot of ladies. Ladies like to, and I'm not talking about virtually here, I'm talking about in physically. A lot of ladies like to wear those jackets, and the jackets typically are shorter than the guys. When women get nervous, and this is not everyone, understand that, but a nervous habit I see more so in women than men is they will grab the bottom of that coat, not knowing that they're fidgeting with it. And they don't know that until we tell them. So that is, to me, that is the essence of why coaching is so effective and why it is so needed, coaching and mentor, because there is a distinct difference between the two. Let's not get that twisted. There's a difference between the two. The coach is going to help you get there. The mentor is going to listen to you and help guide you. But the coach is the one, I'll use your analogy, push them. I like to use beating them up, because I want to beat you up, but I want to make you feel, I want you to walk away saying, you know what? I just got my butt kicked, but darn, that felt good.
We will be right back with Charles S. Gates and talking more about his top hat philosophy. Don't you go away. Hi, I'm Barbara H. Smith, known as the Masterful Presenter. If you could figure out a universal language, personality code that connects with potential client, how powerful would that be? I empower people to communicate better what they do, what they have, and what they bring to the table. People love to buy. I don't need you to sell it to me. I come in there with an intention, and that's what you're going to do going forward. You're going to go into networking events with intention.
I am here benefiting from the wisdom of Barbara Smith.
She gave so much information on how I can just excel in my business, and I'm taking it to a whole nother level.
I'm learning a lot that I didn't really know about my business.
The information that she's been presenting has been informative and helpful to me.
If you have not been in the presence of Ms. Holmes Smith, you need to make sure you do so. Her workshops are authentic. She comes with such training, and she just graces you with her presence, and she allows you to feel the experience like none other before.
Hey, we're back with Charles S. Gates. I want you to know that I'm so excited that you're here with me tonight. And I want to talk some more about being a transformational trainer. When you say transformational, to me, that means a person was in one spot, stuck, and then they meet Charles. What happens? Take me through the process.
Well, Barbara, probably like you, we assess the people first because we can't work with everyone. Some people are not coachable. Some people don't want coaches. So you have to assess that first, that they are a right fit for each other. Because I will tell them that my style is a little bit different. I'm an in-your-face kind of guy. I don't sugarcoat. I don't water it down at all, ever. And so you gotta come across that first, making sure it's the right fit. Once you get the right fit, you have to make sure that they are willing to listen to you and your advice. Again, we're not the one all be all. It's not like we know everything, but
That's right.
but because we're in this space, we typically know more than the average Joe in this arena. That said, if they are willing to work with us, I like to have them record themselves first and foremost. And then I like to have them look at that recording a bunch of different ways to identify some of I like them to be able to identify what work they need in their own eyes. So when we bring it out together to say, listen, did you notice you did that? And typically it's, wow, I never knew I did that before. So once we establish all of that and we figure out the fact that they will and can work with us, then we take it to the next level. And what I will tell them is that I am not guaranteeing you, just like any coach cannot guarantee you that you will be the next Warren Buffett on the speaking stage. I mean, that's just not what happens. But what I will guarantee you is if you listen and you work with me, you will become a better presenter than you are now. How far you are willing to go is up to you, because the skies is the limit. Because so many people are fearful of people looking at them and fearful of what people may say about them. But if you're really willing to work, transitional in my space means taking you from here, and just like you said, to here, and making it feel good. Because just like Toastmasters doesn't sell widgets, they don't sell products, they sell confidence. And that is my ultimate goal, is to make you a more confident speaker in your own space.
So when someone comes to you, for example, they come to you, they say, Mr. Gates, I really need your help. The first thing you do is sit down with them or take them to a website, or what's your kind of process?
Let's Zoom. I want to see you. Let's talk, and not over the phone. I want to be able to look in your face. I want you to be able to look in my face. Let's talk together. Tell me what you're looking for, because some of the reasons that people want to work with you are not good. Well, I've got a presentation coming up next week. I can't help you with that. I can't help you with that. If you got something that's coming up maybe in 6 months or a year, okay, let's work on it, because it's a process. It's not something that you can you can't go from a cocoon to a butterfly overnight.
It's not a microwave process.
Right. It's not I like that. It's not a microwave process. So get them in a Zoom call. And again, going over those parameters to make sure that we can work together. And that, excuse me, and that I'm the right guy for you and you are the right person for me. Because I will guarantee that I will give you 110% of my effort to make sure you reach your goals. And they must have goals. If they just have a wish, I can't help you. But if you know what those goals are, and we can sit down together and say, okay, I think I can help you with that. Let's go. And then we're all in. I like to go the very next week. Okay, let's start off with and I'll give you homework. Every time we work, I'm gonna give you homework. I want you to videotape yourself, and I'm not gonna let you know what to look for until we talk together. But I want you to look at it and tell me what you found in terms of faults with yourself, and then we can go from there, because I like them to see what their faults are in their own eyes, because a lot of times they don't see it until we talk together through a Zoom call or something like a virtual space. But even when we're not virtually, I like to sit people down. I like to go to a place like a Starbucks or a Panera Bread where they have the Wi-Fi, and we can be in that space, because I want people around. Because once we get to a certain point, I'm going to ask you to stand up in Starbucks or Panera Bread or one of those type of places and show me what you've got. Now, again, it won't be in the first or second session, but as we go down the line, I mean, why you're here, you want to become more confident. This is your space, baby. Let's get it on.
You're going to just throw them out in the water and let the sharks eat them.
Out there. Out there.
So how do you know if somebody's not really right for you? Because we meet a lot of people who want the help. They say they want the help.
Right.
But they're not really willing to do the sacrifice and work. How do you discern and decide, I can't work with you?
Well, Barbara, I have a checklist. I have a checklist of 5 different, it's not 10, it's only 5 different parameters, if you will. If they don't check, and they don't know this, so I don't tell them this, but there's 5 checks that must be checked off for me to make sure that you and I are willing to work together, because I will find that out through our very first conversation. Can you do this? Are you willing to do this? What does your schedule look like? Can you meet on the scheduled time? Because excuses is I'm not a big fan of excuses. If we're going to work together, we're going to come together with the timeline to say, okay, on this day, we're going to talk for X amount of time, and it's going to be agreeable. And once we agree on that, I expect you to hold up your end of the bargain, because my schedule will be blocked out. Nothing's going to happen in case this is unless it's an emergency, to make sure that we meet at that particular time. So there's this 5 different checks that I go through to make sure that we're a right fit for each other, for the most part. For the most part.
One of the things I heard you say before, and one of the parameters I use is, are you coachable? Because some people want you to help them, or they say they want you to help them, and then they don't want to listen to what you have to say. What do you say about that?
Well, you know what? I'm going to go back to one of my buddies, Elliot Eddy. Elliot Eddy is the brainchild behind EE Speaks, and he has a wonderful board game. I can't remember the name of the board game, entrepreneur board game. Anyway, but Eddie likes to say, put in the work. Put in the work. We've got to make sure that these people are willing to put in the work. And you know as well as I do, some of that work's going to be hard. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to feel awkward. But at the end of the day, we're not doing this to hurt you. We're doing this to help you. And I think it also depends on the tone that we use with people. I know you heard me talk about beating them up and all these things, but it depends on the personality of the person in terms of what you can do with them and what you cannot. And when I'm talking about Panera and Starbucks and putting them out there, you know as a coach when people are ready to take the next step. And I'm not going to throw you out there if I feel as though you're going to clam up or you're just going to fall in your face. I will know when we get to that point. And I will tell you, you won't know when I'm going to do that to you. You won't know. Because I'll ask them, give me, you got a presentation coming up, give me your opening line and do it right now, right here. In front of all these people? You're not doing it in front of your kids. Yeah, you're going to be in front of people. Let's get it on. Do it. Let's go. So that's pretty much the main thing. It's making sure that they understand that this is a commitment. This is not a game. This is not a joke. Because look, we're not doing this for free either. So this is a commitment, and I don't want to waste my time, and I don't want them to waste their time. So getting all of that out there in the open from the beginning to make sure that these people are coachable. And again, if I can talk to some of their colleagues, and if they happen to be part of the NSA or Toastmasters or an organization that I can go and talk to some of their people, I'll ask them, is this person coachable? Because typically they'll know.
That's so true. I have a question about professionalism when it comes to putting yourself out there as a coach, as a speaker, as a professional at all. When you're talking about quality, what are the things you're looking for when people come to you and say, I want you to coach me. I've seen and heard of your quality, of your stature, of your experience, but they don't quite have what you think it takes to get them to the next level. Do you coach people on how to get to the next level? I know you said something about they may not be ready. But how do you help them get ready, or do you have a fine line between who you will help get ready and who you won't?
I think it's the individual. It's the individual themselves, because some people say, "Well, I want the help. I want the help," but when you ask them to do something, they don't do it. They come up with an excuse for why they could not do this or that. And typically, I will let them know up front, I'm not a big fan of excuses. If you give me one excuse, I may let that slide. You give me two excuses, to me, that's a pattern. And from that standpoint, we're going to have to part ways. So I think the most important part about being from a professional standpoint is just being open and honest with them from day one. Let them know that this is not a game, this is not a joke. I'm here for you. You want to be better. I'm here to help you get better, and I am willing to put in 110% of my effort to help you get to that standpoint. But you have this is a 50-50 deal. You got to put in the work. You've got to put in the work, and you've got to show me that you're willing to put in the work, because every time we come on a call the following week, I'm going to test you on what we talked about the previous session to make sure that you, number one, understand it and understand how to put it into practice.
You talked about many books that you have read. When you're coaching people, do you give them reading materials to catch up on, to read the same as you, the self-development kind of books? Do you give them specific ones? And can you give me one or two?
Well, I'll tell you right now, and I wish I had it in front of me, but right now I'm reading by Darren Hardy, the Common. The heck is the name of it? Well, I'll give you another one. I can't think of the name of it. I wish I had it in front of me. But yeah, to answer your question,
is it the Compound Effect?
That's it, the Compound Effect. I'm reading that right now. It's actually for the second time. I read it years ago, and he just came out with an audio version. And again, I went up to Jersey over the past couple of weeks, so that's what I've been listening to. Even though I was a DJ back in the day, music's not getting me paid anymore, so this is getting me paid. I just want to feed my mind, and that is what I tell my people as well. If you want to be the best you can be, especially from a speaker standpoint, we know that the essence of a good speaker is a storyteller. You've got to be able to tell those stories. And if you are one of those people that just go home and watch TV all day and these things like this, I mean, I get that too. But reading that material gives you could give you a different perspective. I will tell you, I'm reading a book along with that one, a book by a gentleman named Jason Berger. It's called Contagious. It is a fantastic book that makes you look at things from another perspective. And it's why things catch on. Speaking and what we do for a living and anything that we do, why do those type of things catch on? I'm reading this and I'm saying to myself, wow, I never thought about that before. So these are the kind of examples that I like to share with people to say, you know what, reading, and not just reading. There's so many good podcasts out there. There's so many good podcasts out there that are just wonderful. Plethoras of information where you can listen to it at your own leisure. Audio books. There's so many ways to get the information now. I think it's a crying shame for anyone not to reach out and to continuously feed their brains constantly. So yes, I'm a big fan of getting that material. I will recommend some, and then chances are they're going to recommend some to me as well.
It's a great thing to have that information in front of you, just like you said. I remember listening to Zig Ziglar. He said, you have a university in your car. When you're in your car and you have to drive someplace to and from, you can always listen to a podcast. You can always listen to audiobooks and expand your mind by listening to things that you didn't know before. And that's a powerful way to keep yourself abreast of everything that's going on. Such a great conversation with you. I want to talk some now about your dog. Why you named the dog Gunner?
Well, you know what? Gunner is my German Shepherd. He's sitting right there. He's well behaved. As long as the mailman or the UPS man doesn't come around here, he's good. And now it's dark, so you can't see him. But the reason for the name, I originally wanted to name him Gunnery Sergeant. I wanted to name him Gunnery Sergeant. I'm a former Marine, so I'm a little biased towards the Marine Corps. And for those people who don't know what a gunnery
Most
sergeant
Marines
is,
are, by the way.
as you can tell, keeping it tight. But it's an E8 in the Marine Corps, even though I wasn't there. But the gunnery sergeant, the family was not going for that. So we had to compromise by saying gunny. But what they didn't realize, and some of them didn't realize, is that gunny is really short for gunnery sergeant. So it's really the same thing.
Absolutely.
So gunny, they weren't going for that either. So I had to compromise with gunner.
Too much.
And that's my boy. That's my road dog, literally.
So you're from New Jersey, and I'm from the New York area. Tell me about the area that you're bringing your parents down from, and what is going on with you going up to get them and bring them down?
Well, you know what? They live in Newark metro area. They live in the Newark, New Jersey metro area. It was right outside New York City. And for anyone who's familiar with that area, there's a lot going on up there. I mean, I know throughout the country there's a lot going on, but in that part of the world, it's so much going on. And now my parents are a little older, and they've lived a good life. And now we as a family feel as though they need to bring it down and enjoy the fruits of their labor and enjoy the years left that they have. Hopefully they'll be around for another 20, 30, 40 years. But being here in Virginia, I live in Williamsburg, Virginia. So it's neat, it's quiet, anything. It's the total opposite of where they live now. I mean, I'm gonna just put this out there.
I know the area well.
You know the area well. Well, I'll tell you, I went walking while I was there, just like I do everywhere else, and I could not tell you. And this is not to downgrade the neighborhood, but let's just say there's a lot of alley cats around, and there's plenty of food for them with tails. Little scary characters with and some not so small. Yeah. And just being in that environment, they need to get away. And I use the word need purposely. They need to get away from my stimulation, because my father and mother, they're not the healthiest people in the world anymore. I mean, they still have all the faculties, but they just need to come down here and be close to the family. I mean, it's 6 hours away. Be down here close to the family. And just live life the way it's supposed to be lived in your latter years. Once you retire, you're supposed to enjoy life and not worry about this, not being stressed out. And we feel as though when we bring them down here, which is going to happen within the next 30 days, we're bringing them down here, and they are going to, and I will tell you, Barbara, it was a struggle to get them to agree to move down here, because my mother's born and raised in Newark. And for the most part, that's all she knows is city. All she knows is city life. And Williamsburg, I mean, no disrespect to people from Williamsburg, but this is a different type of town than it is up north. No, it's totally different from Williamsburg. Even though Williamsburg
for sure.
It's a tad different. So yeah, so it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. We're looking for, but I tell you what, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, as you know. It's a lot of work. But you know what? This is why you have kids, and this is what your kids, in my opinion, are supposed to do for parents.
So tell me about, do you have other brothers and sisters, other siblings?
One brother, he also lives up there in New Jersey. He's doing his thing, and he's helping me. I will tell you, he's helping me. His name is Tyrone, and shout out to Tyrone if he's watching. You better be watching. So shout out for him. Yeah, so he's doing his thing, and yeah, he's good. He takes care of my mother and father right now, and he's doing it pretty much by himself. But down here, I've got my wife, and we've got a good support system. My daughters, both my daughter Tanya and Tiffany, live in Maryland, and my nephew Chris lives in Virginia Beach with his partner down there, Trent. So it's good stuff. We've got a good support system here in Virginia, so it's a good thing.
Well, we want to thank you so much for being on the Barbara A. Smith Show. You've been a fabulous guest. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. I have totally enjoyed having you on the show, and I'm looking forward to seeing that top hat the next time I see you. I want to end the sequence with you telling us how we can get in touch with you and all of your handles of what you're doing next, and how we can connect with your business.
Okay. Well, you can reach me. The easiest way to do it is to send me an email. Let's talk 1031@gmail.com. That's let's talk 1031@gmail.com. I'm on all the social media handles. Charles Gates on Facebook, LinkedIn. It's the same thing. Charles Gates DTM on LinkedIn. I'm on Twitter at Charles Gates. Charles Gates and Instagram. I'm Charles Gates, and you can also connect with me on my other business side, the political side, and that's called Local Legislator. You can also check with our Facebook, Local Legislator LLC. We have a Facebook page, we have a LinkedIn account, and we have a Twitter, we have Instagram. So either one of those contacts, I'm easy to get in touch with. I would give my phone number out there, but I'm not going to do that. But reach out to me an email, and typically I will return your call or your email within 24 hours.
You heard it first right here, Charles Gates. You are phenomenal, a phenomenal trainer, a speaker, a coach. I'm so glad you spent time and space with me today. And I hope you've enjoyed yourself on the Barbara H. Smith Show. We're going to see you around the neighborhood.
Most definitely. And let me give a shout out to my wife, my lovely family. Hope they're watching. Lonnie, I love you, baby. Tanya, Tiffany, Chris, Trent, Tangira, I know you're watching. Family up in NJ, all around the place, all my people, because I got a lot of followers on social media. Love you much. Let's work together and let's all be the best people we can be. And my business partner, David Edmondson. Shout out to you too, Dave, and your family.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you for spending time and space with me, Charles Gates, the transformational top hat philosophy leader, trainer, and coach.
Thank you so much, Barbara. Pleasure to be here.
And now I want to talk to you some about what's coming up next. I promised you that if you waited till the end of the show, that I would give you some very valuable information. Right after the show, tonight at 9 p.m., we're going to kind of wait until 9:10 to let some people jump in on the Zoom call. It's Unleash the Speaker Within. It's a VIP invitation, but I'm going to let you in tonight so that you can hear the presentation of Unleash the Speaker Within. You won't want to miss it. The link is shown below. If you capture that and jump in at 9 o'clock, you're going to be in for a treat. I'm going to help you unleash the speaker within. What is that about? Well, we're going to talk about why we're fearful and why we need to unleash whatever it is that's keeping us captive. You know, 70% of all professional businesses, business occupations use some sort of speaking, whether you're trying to convince, whether you're trying to sell, whether you're trying to uplift, whether you're trying to motivate. We all need to know how to speak and present well. We're not taught how to do that in school. We're taught all kinds of things, but public speaking is one of those things that we're not really taught how to do. And I'm going to let you in on some techniques and some secrets in the Unleash the Speaker Within right after the Barbara H. Smith Show. So hang in there with me. Come on to the Zoom call. It's listed below on the trailer. Capture that information, take a screenshot, and come on over and talk with me. And let me help you unleash the speaker within. I'm Barbara H. Smith. I'm so grateful you're here today. And thank you for spending time and space with me. I'll see you in a few minutes.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Here we go, here we go.
Bye.